Hello, and welcome to episode 20 of the Sarah Seams podcast. My name is Sarah. I'm coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, where I live with my partner Troy and our cats Alex and Moo. I cannot believe this is the 20th episode already. That is so crazy. Where does the time go? But I'm super happy to be here with you today, sharing lots of crafty content. This is kind of a mega fall episode. It's been about 2.5 weeks since my last episode. Today is September 16th, if I didn't already say that. It's a Saturday, and it is a perfect fall day. It is like 70 some degrees. There's a cool breeze. It's just fall is here, and I'm excited. And I'm sorry if my voice is a little hoarse or you hear me coughing a bit today. I am getting over a little bit of a cold, but I really wanted to record before we leave for our trip in a couple of days, and I'll talk more about that later. So this is my little corner of the internet where I share about all of my crafting projects. Today it's actually a lot of sewing, a lot of knitting, and a little bit of crochet. More sewing than usual today though. I have a whopping 10 finished objects to share with you today. But first I should say, if you are interested in seeing more about my projects, you can follow me on Instagram at Sarah_Seams or on Ravelry at Sarah Ribble. And before we jump in, I just want to take a second to say a little caveat. Like I said, I have 10 finished objects to share with you today. Before I go on a trip, like especially a longer trip like we're going on soon, I always get into kind of a sewing frenzy, or I tend to. Like I want a bunch of new outfits to go on the trip, so I tend to sew a lot during those times. But you know, I have gotten some comments like, "You're such a fast knitter, like how do you sew so much?" And I just wanted to say a couple of things. I, first of all, am really fortunate to have a lot of time for making in my life, and I know that not everyone has that, and so I hope that by me sharing these things, it's an inspiration to you more than like a, you know, I don't want anyone to measure themselves against the amount of things that I'm able to make. You know, it's not a competition or a race. Everyone just has different time and different pace at which they work. So I hope that it doesn't ever come across as like I'm trying to make the most amount of things, and I wouldn't ever want anyone to feel bad that they can't make as many things. You know, I hope it's coming across what I'm trying to convey, but my intention is never to make anyone feel bad or that they're not making enough things. It's just I'm fortunate to have a lot of time for making because my full-time job is a pretty good work-life balance, and you know, I don't have children. I have my cats, which are my bad children, but you know, most of my free time can be used for my hobbies. I don't feel like I'm a super fast knitter. I just get a lot of knitting time, but sewing, I will say I am a pretty fast sewist, especially if it's something I've made before, and that's just because I've been sewing almost as long as I can remember. I went to college for fashion design, you know, sewed a lot there. I also sewed professionally for almost 7 years, and it's just something that is like second nature to me. So yeah, just please take it with a grain of salt that I have 10 finished objects to share with you today. That is not normal for me either. I tend to go through spurts with my sewing. Like I'll get a lot of sojo and just sew something like every day for a week, and then I'll go like a month or so sometimes without sewing anything. So it comes and goes, and when I have the inspiration and energy to do it, I like to take advantage of that. So with all of that said, I thought I have this stack of all the finished objects here. I thought what I would do is put together a couple little videos, like a little fashion show, to kind of show you all these finished objects and how I'm planning to outfit them. So that's going to be coming up now, and then after this I will talk all about them in detail, but please enjoy the little outfits that I've put together. so I hope you enjoyed my little fall fashion show that I filmed in our bedroom. It's definitely nothing fancy. The camera angle is weird, but I had a fun time putting it together. You can tell I'm not good at making videos because I was trying to line up the little claps and it just didn't happen. So we're still learning, we're still figuring it out. Thank you for bearing with me. So I'm just going to run through these finished objects now, and I will start with what I'm wearing. So this is, I'll just stand up so you can see it. This is the Lana vest. So in my last video, I think I had not even cast this on yet, but I think I was talking about wanting to make it as part of Siri Kate's Great Vest Knit Along. And I cast it on and I just could not put it down. But it also works up really, really fast because it's a worsted weight and it's a vest, so there's no sleeves. So yeah, let me show you. The pattern's by Irene Lynn, if I didn't already say that. It is this really cute worsted waist boxy vest, and it has a 2x2 neckline, cuffs, and hem. It has this pretty diamond stitch in the center panel that's just made with knits and pearls. There's little cables here, the braided cable, which I love. This is like my new favorite cable. It was my first time knitting it. And then the side panels are moss stitch. I did do there was one new to me technique aside from the braided cable on this pattern, and that was a lateral braid. So you can see right here before the hem, there is a little lateral braid. And that was surprisingly easy. There was a video tutorial. I did it wrong the first couple of times, but as soon as I watched Irene's tutorial, it kind of clicked. One really nice feature of this and a lot of Irene's patterns are on the side, you'll see there is this cable and then it twists into the split hem, which is just such a cute detail. The armhole is rather deep, as you can see. You can see my little bralette peeking out there. So, you know, normally I would probably be layering this over another piece. Here's the back. But today it was like 75 degrees, so I just popped it on with this skirt, which was another one of the finished objects. This is another Donovan skirt by Helen's Closet. It's one I've made quite a few times. Sorry, it's kind of hard to show while I'm wearing it, but hopefully you saw it in the video. It's a pretty basic denim skirt, and the denim was a secondhand fabric that I got at a local fabric swap. It's just gonna be like a workhorse skirt for me. I feel like I had a hole for this in my wardrobe, just like a classic denim skirt, and I've already reached for it multiple times since I finished it. I should also say about the vest that the yarn I used was Jagger Spun. It's their Musum Falls base, and it's 100% superwash worsted, and the color is Ecru. I got this secondhand from For the Birds Rehab. Yeah, I think that's it about this. I love how the vest turned out. I really recommend it. Oh, one more thing is I cropped mine, of course, as I do. The original pattern is quite long. I would say it probably would come to like the low hip if I knit it to that length, and I knew I didn't want mine to be that long. Even something this oversized, just with my proportions, that's not my favorite look for myself. So I did choose to crop mine, and I really like how it turned out. So yeah, this was my entry for Siri Kate's Great Vest Knit Along. And I feel like I knit one, like usually in the fall when it starts getting cooler is when I want to knit a vest. And then I kind of get it out of my system and move on to other projects. But I'm curious if you all have knit any vests recently or plan to. There's some really cool new patterns coming out. There's like Andrea Mowry's Tessellated vest, which recently came out, and a new one that I really like is the Tetra slipover. I can put pictures of these in. So let me know if you've knit a vest or if you're interested in knitting one. So moving on, the next FO is the Anthea top by Anne Allen Clothing, which is just this really simple kind of boxy top, but it has these really dramatic poofy sleeves, which I love. This is my second one of these, and I just really find them extremely wearable and excellent for layering. Like, I think this would be cute under the vest. Excuse me. So it has this button front placket. The neckline is finished with bias binding. And the cuffs are also just finished with an on-grain binding. And what's special about this version is the buttons. So I got these really pretty buttons. Hopefully you can see that. They're ceramic and then they're painted. The petals are navy blue and the little center button is black. And I purchased these at So to Speak, which is a local store, but they're actually made at a farm in Ohio called Holland Hoof Farm. And if you have not seen their stuff, you should definitely check them out. The link will be below. They make such beautiful ceramic buttons and dishes and brooches. Like their stuff is just beautiful. And I'm hoping to see them at the wool gathering in Yellow Springs tomorrow, which I will also talk more about at the end, and maybe get some more buttons or something from them. But yeah, so I really love how this turned out. It's the same fabric I made this Donovan skirt out of. I think they look really cute as like a matching set. But I've also already worn this with my solid navy blue mauve skirt, and it really picks up the navy and the buttons and is really cute. So another just like really good staple to add to the wardrobe. Okay, next is a big one. I don't know how to show this. I would be wearing this right now if it was cooler than 75 degrees, but I finished my Mabel sweater, my improv sweater. If you've seen the past few episodes, you would have seen me working on this. It was inspired by a sweater that Selena Gomez's character wears in the newest season of Only Murders in the Building. And the original sweater is a Jonathan Simkai, who's a runway designer sweater. The original sweater was $500. It's no longer available. I'll put a picture in of the original so you can see. What I fell in love with about it was this super dramatic collar. And hopefully in the video you saw that. I think I achieved that. Excuse me. The collar is pretty dramatic. So here is my version. Again, it's kind of hard to hold up because it's heavy and floppy, but I am so thrilled with how it turned out. I was nervous to block it, but it just turned out exactly as I imagined. Like I could not be happier. So to start with, I used the Rhoda jumper, which is another pattern by Irene Lynn, and it's a pattern I've knit before. It's an all over texture, super oversized, boxy, like drop shoulder design. So I kind of used that as my starting point. And then I developed the rib and eyelet texture and kind of slotted that into the pattern. I obviously added the collar, which was not in the original pattern. And then I changed the sleeves to be essentially straight. So there are very few decreases. They're pretty oversized, but they're very cozy. And after blocking, they're like perfectly a little bit too long and very cozy. I love how it turned out. I'm just really happy with it. If you can hear banging in the background, that's Moo trying to get into the room. So I'm sorry about that. The yarn is Noro Silk Garden. I'm sorry, it's just gonna be a lump. It's very drapey and hard to hold up. So here's the sweater lump. The yarn is Noro Silk Garden. The color is number 84. I do not remember the color name. And I talked a lot about this yarn in the last episode. Some pros and cons about it. However, I will say that it has blocked very nicely. It is going to be a little bit itchy because of all of the vegetable matter that is in it. Again, I talked more about this on the previous episode, but I think the color is just perfect and it just screams fall, and I will definitely be able to wear it. I think I might have to do like a trial wear like around the house one day to see if the itchiness is really going to bother me before I commit to wearing it like to work or something for a whole day, where it could drive me crazy if it's really itchy. But all that said, I'm very proud of it. It was my first make it up as I go project, and it really turned out just about exactly as I had envisioned. So I'm very pleased with it, and I could totally see myself trying a similar project in the future, like making my own version of a ready to wear design. Hopefully I'll be wearing that next time if it's cool enough. And what I made to go with it are these burgundy Nini culottes. So again, the Nini culottes, a pattern I've made many times. It's probably my second most made pattern. They're just super wide leg elastic waist pants. They're like sweatpants, but they feel fancy. And this is a burgundy linen that I got from Blackbird Fabrics. It's super nice. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much to say about them. I made straight size 18 and they fit me very well. I have a 40-inch waist, 50-inch hip. Next outfit is another Maeve skirt, probably my most made pattern. I don't like these and the Nini Kulas. I don't have to look at the pattern when I sew them anymore because I've made them so many times, so I can make them in like an hour. This is a black version, which I somehow didn't have, and you can kind of see the texture there. It's like a Swiss dot. Yeah, you can see that pretty well. It's got a bit of texture. It's super nice, rayon, drapey. It has inseam pockets, elastic waistband. I did omit the drawstrings on this version. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just like a nice classic black skirt. I feel like a lot of these things that I sewed recently are just like staples, like I said, that I'll be able to wear a lot. And what you saw me wearing that with, I did not make, but I wanted to include it anyway. This shirt is just a really fun vintage shirt that I recently picked up from a local retail, like vintage reseller at a market. And it's 100% silk. And I just thought the colors were great and I loved the print. So yeah, I definitely like to mix. I would say my wardrobe is a mix of mostly handmade. Like at this point, I would say it's probably like at least 70% me made. And then some thrifted or secondhand or vintage items, and then a sprinkling of like small fashion, what's the brand I'm looking for? No, what's the word I'm looking for? Like small brand, ethically made kind of things. So that is kind of the mix that I go for. The next outfit was this all green linen look. So I made the green skirt earlier this year maybe, or last year. This started out as a dress, but the dress turned out way too small, even though it was drafted to my own measurements, so I must have done some wrong maths in there somewhere. Excuse me, I'm really sorry about the cough. When it didn't fit, I turned it into a skirt. However, this is such a specific color. I was having a hard time pairing it with a lot of other things in my wardrobe. I don't know why. I think I could easily wear this with the denim Anthea shirt, you know, like I think I have things now, but I really wanted a matching top. I really wanted to just be like bathed in this color. So I had a little bit of leftover linen and I decided to just make this little matching crop top. So I feel like when I wear them together, like you saw in the video, it kind of just looks like a dress, which I'm into. This is top number 1 from the book 100 Acts of Sewing. It's a very basic box top. I mean, it's just the front is one piece, the back is one piece. And then I just hacked it by cropping it and adding the little gathered ruffle. This is emerald linen from Blackbird Fabrics. I feel like it came together really well as like a little outfit. And the last one is probably one of my favorites, but I need your help deciding what to do with it. So this is my quilt block dress. I think I talked a bit about this fabric when I purchased it. So I saw a small like indie designer making dresses with this print, but the print was not available in a style that I would want. So I decided to design a similar fabric and have it printed just for my own use. I have no intention of selling the design or the pattern or anything, just for my own personal use to make a dress in my style in this print that I loved. And this is it. So like I said, I made the design using Adobe Illustrator, uploaded it to Spoonflower and ordered the fabric. This is their organic cotton knit, and it's really nice. It's quite stiff. It only has two-way stretch, so it only stretches horizontally. It does not stretch vertically. So you can see in the skirt, that's worked out really well. And for the most part, it's held its shape, like the squares are still pretty square. However, I did not have quite enough fabric. And so I had to cut the bodice pieces on the cross grain. So instead of the stretch going this way, the stretch is going this way, which immediately occurred to me was probably not going to work well, but I just went for it anyway. But what that has caused is the print has stretched, you know, vertically because of the weight of the skirt. So, and maybe this is just me being crazy, but these are definitely more rectangles now than squares. I still think it looks really good. However, I did order some more fabric, and I think that I'm gonna redo the bodice so it's cut correctly, because it does feel like it's gonna continue to grow over time. So I'm really excited to have this. I will still wear it as it is, but when I get the additional fabric, I am gonna redo the bodice. And again, this was just a super simple self-drafted kind of thing. So I have a similar dress ready to wear that I really like the fit of. So I kind of used that as a starting point. And then I took the boxy top pattern, top number 1 from the little green linen top that I just showed you. And I actually just used that as my bodice piece. And then I just cut out 2 big rectangles that I based those measurements on the ready-to-wear dress that I had, and that's how I made the skirt. And the neckband, I will give you a tip for knitted neckbands, a sewing tip. To draft your own knitted neckband, you can, you know, determine how wide you want it to be, but to determine how long it should be to fit into the neck opening with a little bit of negative ease, you want that to be 10% smaller than the neck opening. So I measured around my neck opening, and when you measure that, you always want to make sure you're measuring it at the seam allowance line. So not like right around the edge of your pattern piece, but if your seam allowance is 3/8 of an inch, you would want to measure that 3/8 of an inch in from the edge of your pattern piece, like where the seam will actually be sewn. So you measure that, and then you subtract 10% of that measurement, and that is how long your neckband needs to be to ease into the neck opening correctly and not have any gaping. So that's how you would draft your own knitted neckband. If you've never done that before, little tip. And what I was wearing with this is probably my favorite thing, aside from the sweaters. Very happy with the sweaters. My favorite thing I've sewn in the past couple of weeks is my Sandhill sling. So this is a pattern by Noodlehead Designs, and they design only bags, and their bags are beautiful. I've admired them for years and never had gotten around to making one, but I had a bunch of leftover canvas and like the webbing and the zippers and everything from when I made Troy's Portside travel bag set for Christmas last year. I guess that was before I started podcasting. So I made him a set of travel bags, and these were all leftover materials from that. And I just really wanted to try one of her patterns. So I got the Sandhill sling. This is 10-ounce duck canvas from Blackbird Fabrics. I do not remember the color, but it's this really nice warm brown. And this is a cool like it's kind of like a crossbody backpack. That's exactly what it is, I guess. So it has this shoulder strap that's made with webbing. I ordered the hardware kit from her website, and that comes with the adjustable slider and then the clasp and the D-ring at the bottom. And yeah, so it has a little zipper front pocket. There's also an option to do like a magnetic closure or a snap closure here, and that pocket is fully lined. Excuse me. It has a top zipper, and you can see the inside is fully lined, and there is an interior pocket as well with a little elasticated top. It's really nice, and the lining is sewn in really securely. It doesn't like flop around at all. It is like the construction is phenomenal. Like I feel like this is one of the most like professional looking bags I've ever made. The only change I made, actually two things. Trying to zip this back up. So one thing I changed that I would not do again is at one point, excuse me, I'm gonna take a drink of water real quick. Forgive me, my allergies have been acting up like crazy. Am I the only one? It's been a struggle. Okay, so when you go to sew on this little tab to attach to your strap, she tells you to sew it on this side, but also says if you want to wear the bag over your right shoulder to sew it on the other side. And I thought, oh yes, like I want it to sit like over my right shoulder like this. So I was like, okay, I'll sew it on the other side. But what that didn't occur to me is that naturally, like when I'm putting this on, I'd be wanting to put it on like this way, which means it would be on my left shoulder. So it's a little bit funky for me to put it on. I do actually prefer it over my right shoulder. It's just a little weird. It's unnatural for me, like getting into it. But it does make a difference which side you put it on as to how the bag like lays on your back. So the other option was to put a tab on both sides, and next time I might just do that so you have the flexibility. But the other thing I added that I do really like, I'm glad that I added, is this handle here. So the bag is designed to just have the shoulder strap, but I decided to add this little carrying handle. And I'm really glad that I did, because, you know, if you're like going to the bathroom or something, like I guess you could hang it by the strap, but it's much easier to just hang it by the handle. And if you just want to carry it in your hand, you know, should just carry it this way. So all that I did to add that was took a piece of the webbing, folded it in half like this, you know, and I sewed along this part and just left the little bottoms open. And then when I went to sew the back panel of the bag to the gusset, I just also added that piece. So you're already sandwiching this piece, so I just also added this piece. And it was a really easy hack that I would definitely recommend. And I actually want to try sewing another of her bags later, and I'm gonna have my fall sewing plans video coming out on the 22nd, so in just a couple of days. And I'm looking at my plans on the wall. I made them earlier today and I'm really excited about them, and there's another one of her bags on there, so looking forward to sharing that video with you all later this week. Okay, and I have one more finished object that was not in the video, and it is my All the Frills socks. So these have kind of been my on the go like car knitting project for the past like month or two, and I've just been working on them here or there, and I got them finished up. So this is a pattern by Summerlee Knits. It's in one of her shorty sock sets. The yarn is by Palmer Sock Co., but I got it secondhand and there wasn't a lot of information on it. It's their twisty sock base, but I don't know the color name or anything, unfortunately. But yeah, you can see there's just this really cute little frill at the top here, a bit of a ribbed cuff, and then just a basic vanilla shorty sock. But the yarn is super fun and speckly. It's this like light blue base with these pink and yellow speckles. I really like them. So those are going in my box of socks. Okay, whew, that's it. 10 finished objects. Thank you for bearing with me for that. Like I said, I know it's a lot, but I hope that you enjoyed seeing them, and I will move on to works in progress now, of which there are not as many. Okay, so I have 4 works in progress to share with you today. 3 of them are knitting and 1 is crochet, and the first one is socks. So I've been participating in Sari Nordland's Summer Sock Knit Along since June, July, August, September. Yes, this is the last month. We're just wrapping up. And the idea is that you take 3 skeins of yarn and you make 4 pairs of socks. Sari releases a new pattern every month starting in June, normally starting in May. This year we started a month later, which totally fine. And at the end, you know, you take a picture if you've knit them all together, and you're submitted for the knit along prizes and whatnot. And I really love this knit along. It's kind of what got me into knitting in the first place. So I like to partake and knit some fancy socks. And we're on the last pair, which are called the scrapbook socks, and I finished the first one. And here it is. So the last pair is usually the one that combines all the other yarns. So I can tell you a little bit about the yarns that I'm using. The pink one is a Backcountry Knitter Twisted Sock in the color Dusty Rose. It's 80% merino, 20% nylon, superwash merino. The green is a Knitter's Homestead, same blend, and this color is called Moonstone. And then the red one, I cannot remember what it is and I feel bad. I'm sorry. It is, I purchased it in Savannah, Georgia when I was there earlier this year, but I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the dyer. But you can see I only have a little tiny bit of that color left. I actually just have like a little tiny nugget of it left. And so I'm hoping I have enough to finish the second sock, but how cute is this? So it has the ribbed cuff, and then you can see it goes into these chevron lace stripes. So the green actually has the chevron and lace, and then the red actually just has the chevron kind of with stockinette stitch. That one does not have the lace. And then it has a slip stitch heel, which is not my favorite heel construction, but I like to try new things. So went ahead and did that. And then you can see the pattern continues on the leg. So Sari actually designed it to be reversed. So on the foot. On the foot in her pattern, this would have been like burgundy, green, burgundy, whereas this is green, burgundy, green. But because I have so little of the burgundy yarn left, I decided to just repeat that and only do 2 stripes of that color. I definitely have the most of the green left. But yeah, I have to say out of all 4 designs this year, these ones are definitely my favorite. They're the most addictive to knit. I think they look super cute. I really love how all 3 of the colors work together. They're all like a little bit speckly or variegated. There's like little pops of that dark red in the pink, and then the green's kind of a fun contrast. I just really like how they came together. And the stripes and the lace kind of make them super addictive to knit. So like I said, I'm really hoping I have enough to finish the other one. Otherwise, I might have to sub in like a similar color for a couple rows here, but I'll do what I have to do. And next time I podcast, I should have these done and therefore the whole cowl done, and I'll be sure to show you all 4 pairs together, which always makes a great little collection of socks. So that is exciting. The other one is I've started the second one. I've just finished the first stripe on the leg, but they are packed away already because that is going to be one of the projects I take on our trip. And again, I'll talk more about that at the end. So yeah, those are the scrapbook socks. Next one is my Tessellated pullover, which I made a lot of progress on. So last time I think I had finished the front, and I have now finished the back also. Here it is. So I have finished the back, I have joined the shoulders, and I finished the neckband. So I really got a lot done on this. I should also say, you hear me being a little bit sick. Tuesday of this week, I actually took a sick day from work and stayed home, and all I did all day was knit on this and like watch TV. So that's how I got that much done on this. So here's the front. You can see it has more of the yellows and the little oranges and the lighter colors coming through. And then on the back, it's a little bit more of the darker pinks, the kind of sunsetty colors, which is really nice. And then you finish the shoulder with a 3-needle bind off. And on my version, that's a little bit stark just because the colors on the front are quite different from the colors on the back. I don't mind it, just something to be mindful about. I really haven't done any color management on this. My main color, the navy, is Barocco Lannis Light. The contrast color, the color changing, is Primrose Yarn Co.'s Homestead Sport Base in the color Hipster. And my fluff is this like lighter blue, and that is Fiberspace's Cumulus. So yeah, I don't know, I'll just try and hold it up so you can really see the color work. I really love it. The texture is nice. The visual is nice. It's very soft and squishy. The neckband is just 2x2 rib. I like the 3 needle bind off at the shoulder too. I feel like that gives a nice little like detail there. This is a new to me underarm construction. So it's drop shoulder, but it's kind of like a slightly modified drop shoulder. So when you separate for the front and the back, you cast on some extra stitches. And then before you start the sleeves, you seam them together. So if you can see there, like that's where the body stopped, and then this is where I seamed them together. So it kind of like brings the drop shoulder out a bit. See how it's creating a bit of a right angle there? So it's gonna give a little bit less fullness under the arm, which is nice. So I'm excited to see how that fits. I will say it's extremely cropped. We all know I love a cropped sweater moment. However, it may be too cropped. I thought that it would grow a lot, and I'm hoping that it is gonna grow some. I don't think it's gonna grow as much as I estimated, so it might be the most cropped sweater, but I think it's really cute, and I'm gonna keep working away on it, and we'll see how it turns out. If I really don't like how short it is after blocking, I could do some surgery on it and cut off the ribbing, pick up from the ribbing, knit a few more rows, and then graft it together. However, there's like over 300 stitches in the body, so grafting that would not be the most fun thing I've ever done, but we'll see. I'm really hoping I don't have to do that, and that I'll just be able to get an inch or two out of it in blocking. But yeah, really coming along, and I'm loving how it's turning out. Andrea Mowry just released also the Weekender Crew pattern. I can put a picture in if you haven't seen that, which is very cute and is kind of living in my brain now. I might be trying to get some yarn for that at the yarn gathering tomorrow. We'll see. So that is my Tessellated. That is available up to a 69-inch bust. I'm making size 5, which is the 50-inch bust, which is about 6 inches of positive ease for me. Okay, next one is my TessKnit. And I can't remember where I was on this before, if I had finished the body or not. This is the Chained Oblivion cardigan, which I'm test knitting for Kelsey Grammer. Yep, nope, not Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Garner, it's very close, who is knitting Nikavi on Instagram. I'm knitting size E, which is the 51-inch bust. It's going to be available up to a 67-inch bust, and it is a really cool pattern. I talked a lot in the last episode about the gauge of this pattern and some of the issues that all the testers have been having with achieving that gauge. So if you're really interested in the pattern, which I can put a picture of it here, maybe go back and give that a listen. I'm not going to get too into that today, but it is knit at a very tight gauge, and most knit testers have had to size down significantly in yarn and or needles, most of them both. So just something to note. But I am knitting mine in Cascade 220, and I did finish the body. I'll show it again because I can't remember if I showed it or not last time. But you can see, again, it's going to be cropped. Imagine that. It is this really cool seed stitch design with these chain link cables. Oh, those look so good. They're really popping out. Yeah, they're really cool detail. So I split for the sleeves, so you can see I've cast off my underarm stitches, and now you kind of set the body aside and start on the sleeves, which I have done. And here's what I have. So I'm just gonna put my hand in here so you can see this thing. So it has a ribbed cuff that is long, and it has thumb holes, which I do love. I do love this sleeve. So yeah, you knit this amazing cuff with the thumb hole, and I actually knit mine an extra inch. It calls for that to stop about here. But I felt like if the balloon sleeve started like right at my natural wrist here, that was kind of gonna make it look squatty. Like I wanted the cuff to be a bit longer. So I added a little bit of extra length there. And then I started the balloon sleeve, and hopefully you can see that the chain link cables are also here on the sleeve. And that only carries on for about this far, and then the rest of the sleeve is just seed stitch. But I mean, look at that. It's gonna be good. It's very dramatic. I really like the Cascade 220. This is my first time using it. And also I just wanna knit everything with a thumb hole now. Like, it's the most cozy. I feel like I'm like, this is kind of silly. But yeah, I need to get going on this. We do have a long time for the test. It's not due until the end of November, but I have some big projects coming up, which I will touch on one in the acquisitions section today, that are gonna take a lot of time. So I do need to keep working away on this. I don't want to end up like having to rush at the end. So that is my chained Oblivion cardigan. And last one, I'm just gonna quickly show my crochet granny square blanket that I've been working on. I've been finding this so like fun and therapeutic to work on. It's like, you know, if I need a mental break, I can just pick this up. So here is what I have. Hopefully you can see the really fun colors. I am marling 2 fingering weight yarns held together. I'm like in the middle of a row here. So I've added 3 or 4 rows since I showed it to you last time. Starting to get a little bit bigger. Still a tiny blanket, but it'll grow. And I'm really finding a lot of like peace in this project, which is very nice. And I feel like the marling kind of makes it addictive. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm using a size 4.5 hook, and I'm just doing granny clusters. When you get to the corner, you do 2 granny clusters separated by a chain 2. Pretty simple. But yeah, it's kind of a mindless project, which sometimes you need. And I'm just keeping all my little random scraps in the bag with the project, so when I'm ready to add a new color, I just add it in. Okay, that is it for whips. Let me grab my acquisitions and we'll move on to that. I have some very fun acquisitions to share with you today, and I'm really excited about them. So I'm gonna kind of go in order in which I acquired them. So the first one, you may remember a couple episodes ago, I shared with you that my family and I went to the Wilds, which is a local like wildlife reservation in Ohio, and we met some camels there. I can put a picture in. And it just kind of reminded me that I really wanted to try knitting with some camel fiber. And so Pearl Soho was having a sale on their Simply Camel yarn, and I decided to try some. So I got 2 skeins of the Simply Camel. It is 100% baby camel, and it's the natural color. And just look how beautiful and rich that is. This is one of the softest things I've ever touched in my entire life. It's very drapey. It is just absolutely beautiful. It's 164 yards and 50 grams. Yeah, I guess it's fingering weight. The recommended gauge is 26 to 30 inches, 26 to 30 stitches for 4 inches. Yeah, it's just super beautiful. My plan with this is to make a spur hat, which I can put a picture in. Just a beautiful natural camel beanie. I think that's gonna be amazing. So that's gonna be a special beanie for me. This is truly like, I could not recommend this enough. This is not a yarn I would feel like it would be really luxurious to make yourself a garment out of this yarn. It is quite expensive for how much you get, but I felt like a small project like a hat was a perfect way to try it. So I'm going to be making a very fancy camel hat. It is also extremely warm, like even just holding it in my hands, it's very, very warm. But yeah, it's really lovely. I could not recommend it enough. I can't wait to knit with it. Next is this really fun, very bright skein of Undercover Otter. This is their squirm base. The color is Would You Kindly. And I purchased this secondhand from For the Birds Rehab, which is an online secondhand yarn store. All the proceeds go towards the owner's wild bird rehabilitation that they do, excuse me. Like, I just couldn't pass this up. Look at this. This is gonna be amazing socks. So bright, I love it. How cute the logo is. Okay, next is a pattern, and a sewing pattern and some hardware. So I showed you my Sandhill sling. The next pattern I want to try from Needlehead is the Making a Backpack. So hopefully you can see that there, even though it's in the package. It is this really cute backpack. It's kind of reminiscent of the like little Fjallraven backpacks. There's a mini size as well, which is super cute. So I ordered the pattern and the hardware. And I also ordered another Sandhill sling hardware kit in silver, which I'm gonna use to make another Sandhill sling as a gift for my sister. And now the last two are really special. So the first that I'm gonna show you is yarn for what will be my birthday cast on for this year. So I've heard some other people talking about this idea of a birthday cast on, casting on something special on your birthday, and then, you know, having that memory associated with it. So I saw this yarn posted on, I think it was La Mercerie's Instagram, and it sold out immediately, but I managed to hunt some down at a different shop, and it is Biche Bouche Le Gros Lambswool, and it is in the color Candy. So I'm not sure if this is really going to come across on screen, but the base is like a light bluish gray, and that's pretty accurate. And then you can just see there's like every little color of the rainbow in flecks here, and it is so beautiful. It's an Aran weight. It says this is a pure lambswool from Scotland from a family-owned fibre mill. A beautiful natural and sourced, scoured quality. Sorry, the little font is kind of hard to read. For your dreamy knitting projects. So I've not used Biche Bouche yet, but I'm very excited to. This is an Aran weight, if I didn't already say that. So I got a sweater quantity of this, along with one skein of the Biche Bouche Le Gros Silk Mohair in the color, what color are you? Light pink. And this is 28% silk, 72% mohair. So here's that. You can see it's quite a thick mohair. It is, so they have a silk mohair and a large silk mohair. This is the large silk mohair, and it is definitely more of a, it probably knits up as like a DK or a worsted. It's really interesting. I've never quite used anything like this before. And so these are going to become the To Draw a Sweater, which I will put the pattern in here. And of course I did not write down and cannot remember the designer's name, so I will put that on the screen. This pattern is just one that I've loved for a while. It's super oversized, and it has this textured rectangle on the front. It reminds me of my favorite artist, Agnes Martin, and that's why I love it so much. I can put a couple pictures of her artwork here. She does super minimalist paintings and drawings, and they're all about the process and the texture. Excuse me. And that's just the kind of art that I love, and she is one of my all-time favorites. And this sweater really reminds me of her and that style. And so this is going to be my birthday cast on this year. And it's very special because it reminds me of my favorite artist and because I'm using a very special yarn. So these will be held together just for the rectangle on the front. That's why you only need one skein of the mohair. I think the pattern does also have a rectangle on the back, but I will probably only do it on the front. And then the rest is just knit in this very special yarn. So it's gonna be a struggle to not cast this on before my birthday, but my birthday is at the end of November. I can make it. I have plenty to keep me occupied until then, but I am very excited about that. Okay, last one is also very exciting. As I mentioned in the last episode, some of the other people at my knit night were getting really excited about the WestKnits Mystery Knit Along. So I have given in to peer pressure and I will be participating. I am not a huge shawl knitter. I am determined to finish my first large shawl project before the knit along starts on October 5th. But I did decide, since it was my first year participating and the yarn needs were pretty specific this year, I did decide to order a kit. So it came in this fun bag. There were a few different colors of these, but I got the yellow one. It's kind of a space theme this year. It's like, I think the name is Geo Gradient. So you needed 4 skeins and a gradient. And I was a little bit worried about being able to find a gradient that was super cohesive just by doing my own shopping. So that's kind of why I decided to order a kit. And I really love the kit. I'm very excited. But it comes with a few other freebies too. So it came with some fun stickers, MKAL sticker, probably add this to my little sticker collection back here. It came with some labels, which I have to say, I don't really put labels in my projects, but it's a nice little add-on. Maybe I will for this special project. And it came with a little needle gauge and gauge ruler. It's kind of a cool little freebie. But the main event is obviously the yarn. So I was really torn. There were quite a few kits that I really liked, but ultimately I decided on this purple one. So this is the first skein. The yarn is Mamanoki. They are based in Germany. This is their sock fine 4-ply. And all of the colors are named after foods, which is very cute. This one is called Strawberry Cream. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Second color is Framboise, which I love how these like little hits of the darker purple of this color in this yarn, like those play together so well. I don't know how I'm gonna hold all of these. Okay, the fourth color is Grape, which I believe this one, I think Framboise is French for raspberry. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's fun. This one is Grape, which also beautiful, just this bright purple. And the last one is Cassis, which is like a black currant, I believe. Again, correct me if I'm wrong here, which is this more dusty purple, but if you look closely, it does have touches of that like more red in it. So this is my Geo Gradient. It's interesting. This is the order I will probably use them in, but if you look at like a black and white photo of these, this one actually reads the darkest, but I feel like it doesn't work as well to do them in this order. So I will be using them in this order because this one is darker. It's just not as saturated. So those two are close in value, but I think it does work best in this order. So that is the order I will be using them in. I'm excited about this. I'm kind of intimidated by it. I know it's a massive project, and I know it's probably going to take up most of my knitting time, but I'm trying to prepare for that by casting off a lot of other things, you know, getting to a good place with all of my other projects so that if this is the only thing I can work on, that will be okay. Yes, I'm excited about this. That is it for acquisitions. But that does kind of lead me into my knit and chat. So the knit night I've been going to, that we were hoping to knit the shawl together, a bunch of us, unfortunately might not be happening anymore. Last time we were there, I was chatting with the owner and she was mentioning that, you know, they just need to host more classes and they might not have a night available for knit night, which I completely understand. Even though it's a bit of a bummer. So we'll see what happens. It sounds like it's not 100% sure. So hopefully, you know, they'll continue it. There's a possibility that they will. But it was only once a month. And I've been thinking that I wanted a little bit more regular opportunity to like meet with other crafters. So after I heard that the knit night might not be continuing, I decided to start my own. So, local Columbus crafter people, I'll be posting about this on Instagram as well, but I'm gonna start partnering with a local bar called Gamut Beer Garden. It is in Old Town East. If you've ever been there, let me know below. It's a great place. They have amazing food. They have vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free options, really good German food. Their vegan schnitzel is yum, so good. Great drinks. So yeah, I reached out to them and they were really excited about hosting this. So we are going to be doing an open craft night. So it's going to be a bring your own craft, whatever you want to work on. So definitely knitting, crochet, fiber arts, but also open to other crafts. I know my sister will probably come. She makes chainmail. So really anything you would be interested in doing. And it's going to be the first and third Tuesdays of the month starting in October. So like I said, more information to come. If you're interested, definitely do follow me on Instagram at Sarah_seams. That's where I'll be sharing all the info. But I am really, really excited about that. And if you're local, I hope that you will be able to join us, come hang out. And yeah, I'm excited to just have a little bit more regular interaction with some other local crafters. So that was a big thing that I did recently. I'm very excited about it. Couple other things. So tomorrow is the wool gathering at Young's Jersey Dairy in Yellow Springs, Ohio. That is about an hour and a half from where I live. It is west of me. It's like closer to Indiana. But my mom is an avid crocheter. She's a big yarnie as well. Her and I and my sister and Troy are all gonna go out there and hang out and shop for yarn and pet sheep, and we'll probably check out the little shops in Yellow Springs and maybe check out the Yellow Springs Brewery and just have like a really nice little day trip out there. So I'm very excited for that. I do have a couple of things I'm specifically looking for. Of course, my list of things is on my phone, which I'm recording on. So from memory, there's a new sock design I'm working on, and I kind of like to find some yarn for that. I also would, I'm knitting a Lanark sweater for Troy, which I can put a picture of that in. It's a design by Rebecca, the Crayabea. It's a quarter zip sweater in half fisherman's rib. And I really like it, and I want to make one for myself too, I think in black. So if I find some black DK that I really like, I might pick up that. I also am interested in getting yarn for the Weekender crew, like I mentioned, Andrea Mowry's new pattern. That would be a DK weight yarn. And I want to pick up some little gifty things. I'm going to be participating in a few different like swaps at the holidays, so I'd like to pick up some little adds, you know, bits and bobs to like throw into that kind of stuff. And my mom's birthday is also this week, and I told her I would buy her a set of blocking mats. So if we see some there, I'll be getting those for her as well. And anything I don't find there, I will be looking for on our trip. So Troy and I are going out to the West Coast in the next week or two. We're gonna be out there for a week, and we are going to visit some family. So we're going to Seattle, and then we're going down to Eugene, Oregon, and Portland, Oregon. So I'm really excited. I've never been to Seattle. I've been to Eugene and Portland before, but the food out there is just to die for. I'm super excited for all of that, and to check out Seattle in general. But I'm also excited because one day we're going to go out to Bainbridge Island in Washington, and that is where La Mercerie has their physical shop. There's also the Lamb and Kid there, so two really good yarn stores like right next to each other, and I'm really excited about visiting both of them. So like I said, anything I don't find tomorrow, I'll be looking for out there. And I'm sure I can find some other things as well. And yeah, I'm just excited to have a relaxing time. So we're going to be gone for a week, but we are taking 2 full weeks off of work. So we have a little bit of time on either end of that. And that's going to be nice to just have some downtime, take a full 2 weeks off of work. I'm sure I'll do lots of knitting. Like I said, I'm trying to finish my Cinnabar shawl that I've been working on before I start the MKAL. So yeah, that leads me to travel knitting. So I'm going to be taking my scrapbook socks to hopefully finish on the plane on the flight out there. I am going to be taking my Cinnabar shawl, which is going to be my main project. It's not an ideal travel project because it is getting large and it's only going to keep getting larger, but I really am determined to finish it. And it's a fairly, once you get going, it's a fairly mindless process. Like I'm not tied to the pattern while I'm working on it. So I think it'll be good. And I'm also going to take my hot pink robin beanie that I've been working on, which is my new car travel project since I finished all the frill socks. Maybe I won't take that. I'm sitting here thinking if I finish the scrapbook socks and the shawl, I'm gonna be like overjoyed. And I can always buy more yarn if I run out of knitting, right? So maybe I won't take the hat, we'll see. Anyways, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Like and subscribe. You know, I really appreciate you all being here. I'm sorry again about the coughing. I'm really hoping that that goes away soon. I feel fine otherwise. And I hope that you enjoyed my frenzied fall sewing and my little fall fashion show. So yeah, let me know. I'm really curious if fall like sparks that for any of you as well. Like the changing seasons always get me really inspired creatively and just like wanting to be making all the time. I mean, I always have that. I think creativity is just one of those things that the more you feed it, the more it grows. And I am really fortunate that I get to devote a lot of time to that. And I feel very lucky that that is the case. So I hope that you go forward into the weekend and next week and have a lot of making time and time for creativity as well. And I will see you all next time. Bye.